Mm, mm, mm. Oh no, Lord. I done lost it. What's going on, peeps? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. What's going on with y'all, man? Mac in the building. You already know what it is. Mac, we're live at 5. You know, we do this every day, Monday through Friday. Don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, you know, for some of the latest news. I just try to bring y'all some stuff that I think we all need to know about. So I ain't necessarily clout chasing no situations or nothing like that. I try to mix it up. It might be something that might not be that new, but it'll be something that's good. That it'll be like, yeah, we should have talked about that a long time ago. But what's up with y'all, man? And speaking of that, seen the video of the mother dragging her daughter by the hair, and I was gonna talk about it, but I wanted to kind of let it marinate a little bit, kind of see what was gonna happen. Yeah, they took her to jail. Long story short, you know, the Gilgo Beach killer. He was supposedly like this dude who was just hot. He wasn't even hiding. He was just around and he was killing people and nobody suspected him. So I guess y'all could probably figure, you know, what he looked like and so on and so forth if they wasn't even suspecting him and he was able to get away, you know. But we gonna still look into it, right? And then we got, hold up, let me see. Bronny James. Yep, Bronny James, LeBron James' son. His oldest son. He collapsed. He had a like a heart attack. I guess I don't want to call it a heart attack. Um but I guess it was like a heart attack. They'll go into detail. Like cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest is what they call it. The medical term. So you know, when he young too, he ain't, I don't even know if he in college yet. I think he just starting college. So I had a friend that died that way in middle school playing basketball just like that. So I wanted to look into that, and they was gonna talk about some reasons why these young athletes end up doing that, you know, end up passing away due to those heart problems and stuff like that at the young age and stuff. So I wanted to look into that and yeah, you know, kind of see what's up with it, cuz I know, especially, you know, let's just say like genetically, you LeBron James son. LeBron James went to the NBA right out of high school. You know what I'm saying? There must be a mama weak gene. No, I was just talking. But yeah, no, we got to look into it, y'all. We got to look into it. So, with that being said, let me do my thing, get my analytics together. You know what I'm saying? And then we gonna get this thing smoking. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Mac. Mac, we're live at 5 daily. Let's go. Mac World live at 5 daily, baby. You already know who it is. It's your boy Mac checking in, bringing you the latest. Might not be the greatest, but it's what you need to know. What's going on with y'all, man? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Help the content creators out. Let's get into it. All right, so told y'all, first and foremost, I was looking at this thing about the mother who dragged her daughter by the hair. I don't like seeing no child abuse type shit like that, so I wasn't really looking into it real heavy. And I'm like, man, these hoes ain't got no manners, you know what I'm saying?
Bitch, where's your manners?
So I'm like, I don't know if I want to even cover it. But I said, let me do my due diligence, man, because they end up taking her ass to jail. What's going on? You say Bronny too young for them type of problems, fresh in the building. Yeah, he is, man. Remember, bro, you remember Vaughn? Vaughn was what? We was in what, 7th grade, you know? So, like, we got to look into it, man. But, yeah, first and foremost, let's check this out right here. I gotta look at this. I didn't want to because I hate to see this type of stuff, but let's do it.
Hi ladies, it's Yanni and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about this woman that went viral on Facebook for being seen dragging her daughter across a field. Trigger warning. I repeat, trigger warning. This video is very gruesome and I'm going to play the censored video, but I saw the uncensored video. I saw it on Twitter and it is just truly heartbreaking. So let's go ahead and get into this story. A Georgian mother has been taken into custody on child cruelty charges. Samara Mona White is captured in a viral video in which she can be observed dragging her daughter by the hair across a field and striking her in the face. After receiving information about the alleged incident shared by a concerned neighbor, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office swiftly took action. It is said that the neighbor's children were also playing along with the child in question. White became angry and sent everyone home. She then chased her daughter. The neighbor posted the 20-second clip on her Facebook page. She wrote, "The video was actually recorded by my niece. Don't know if any neighbors had witnessed this part, but some did see her
Right,
chasing
Fresh, she
her.
been
It's
beating
more
them kids
videos.
up."
I was at work, but called along with other people on my way back to Macon. All 3 kids were taken by ambulance and she was arrested. That just answered 80% of my inboxes." She also went on to say, "No, I don't know her or her name. Her kids just play outside with mine. They have said this isn't the worst she has done that they have seen. They just finally caught it on camera. Prayers for those babies."
A disturbing video leads to the arrest of a Macon mother. Bibb County deputies say this woman, 27-year-old Samara White, was seen on video dragging her child through the grass by her hair. The video, which was shared on social media, also shows the woman striking the child in the face several times, according to deputies. White was taken into custody and is charged with cruelty to children in the 1st degree. The child was taken to a hospital as a safety precaution. The sheriff's office reminds you to call 911 if you.
Samaria was dragging that wagon, but for real though, beating up on them kids, she look a little bit disturbed. And then on top of that, when you have, I look at it like this, man. And it's gonna be controversial, I know it, but I be saying, man, some of these girls out here is human traffickers because they don't love these kids. They don't want no family. They don't care if the kids. They don't care about the home life. They don't care about the child's well-being, psychologically, physically, none of that. They don't care about a father being in the picture. All they care about is having the child in their custody to get whatever benefits come free for having a child that you're the custodial parent of. You know what I mean? Like, it's human trafficking basically, but I guess nobody can call it that because you the one actually making the human, right? Yeah, all right, let's go.
See a child in need.
Y'all knew I was about to have the information. So this scum is Samara White. She is a mother to at least 3 children, and I believe they're daughters, or at least 2 daughters and 1 son. Doesn't really matter, huh? So this fool has been arrested for abusing her child. In that video, it's only just a snippet of a longer video. She is seen yelling and calling her daughter all type of names. Her daughter decides to run because she knows what's going to happen
she got
next,
that
and
look too.
her mother
But look
chases
at her
her.
motherhood skills.
Once the mother catches up to the daughter, she grabs her by the hair, beats her up, punches her in the face, and also drags her by her hair. I honestly thought the girl was knocked out until the mother shook her by her hair and then told her to get up and calling her out her name, just cursing at her like she's a person in the street. And then she punches her daughter again in the face and she cries again. And it's almost like she wants to keep punching her because obviously this lady is heavier than her. So when she's dragging her and the daughter's trying to get up, she's like pulling her hair again. So she falls to the ground. Now, you know, I was going to have the details. Hi. Yeah, she's in jail. She's 5'2", brown or red hair, I guess, at the current time. And this lady, honestly, I don't even know if she's ever going to have a bond. It's been alleged that she's been abusing her children for a while, and it looks like it if you watch the video. So this is a group chat, I guess, with the person who actually recorded, which was a neighbor, and this is what everyone is saying. So the ambulance did come, and police officers,
Right, bro.
they
These
took away
demons,
the children,
dog.
and
These
again,
real
she is
life
locked
demons
up.
that'll do this shit to their own kids.
I mean, come on now. You know, I went on Facebook, got all her old photos. I'm not playing with her. Yeah, I got the family photos, grandma photos, just in case they try to deactivate, just in case I hear something else happening with these kids. Sometimes I wonder, like, what went on in your life? Like, did someone do this to you? Are you stressed of being a single mother? Like, I'm very confused. I really don't know.
It's them fucking names. That's what it is. It's them fucking names. L'Arielli, Amina, Lauren, Chanel, and Kamir Dashad. Like, come on, man. It's them fucking names, dude. That stressed her out. She named her kids a bunch of shit she couldn't live up to. I know that's fucked up. Shots fired. Hey, fucking, she a child abuser. And it's so crazy, man, because I ain't gonna lie, she ain't bad looking at all. She is very pleasant on the eye. You know what I'm saying? Look good coming forward, look good walking away. You know what I'm saying? But I don't fuck with no child abusers, man. It don't matter how good you look, man. Like, you know, it's like I put a status up. I said, would you let a girl ruin your life if she had a low vibrational BBL? You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it. But let's go.
Know what's going on. And I feel like a lot of women, you know, need to just slow your roll. Like, if you're not married, if somebody is not helping you support your lifestyle, your children, stop having kids. You're not getting any brownie points. Section 8, government assistance, none of that is worth it. You're going mentally insane. I don't know what the daughter did, but she didn't deserve that. I know that. Lock her up. Throw away the key. Also, I want to know what you all think. Let me know in the comments below. Also, share and follow.
When I learned of this story on Facebook and then I went to Twitter and I saw the uncensored video, it really ruined my day. I was truly disgusted. Not all women are made to be mothers. And we live in a society that wants to force motherhood on all women. And to be honest, not
Now I gotta disagree with her right there. I don't think we live in no society that's forcing motherhood on women. I think women just think that, you know, nobody could tell them nothing. It's like, it's my body, my way. So I'm gonna use this child maker for benefits. You know what I'm saying? You gotta think about it like this. Look at like just plain old prostitution or whatever, man. Your hoo-ha could be for love. It could be to shore up your relationship. You know what I'm saying? It could be a present for your husband, or it could go to the highest bidder. That's on you. But you can't blame society for the route that you go. You know what I'm saying? She chose to have them kids, and she could be the best mother on the planet if she wanted to. But, you know what I'm saying? She more worried about this, doing this like this. you know?
Not all women are mothers. It's just that simple. When
It
you
is what
become
it
a
is.
mother, you have to have a lot of patience. And not all women have the patience that you need in order to raise children. I sit here and I'm just trying to imagine what these children went through behind closed doors. Because if you can do this in broad daylight, I don't want to know what you were doing behind closed doors to these children. I'm truly disgusted and
She
just
was beating the
overall
life out them
disturbed by the
kids.
story and by the video that I watched on Twitter. When that little girl started to run from her mother and she just started to scream, it was almost like she knew what was to come. Shout out to the community. Shout out to the neighbors. I'm really trying to get through this video. Shout out to the community for stepping in the way that they did. That's all that I have regarding this video. Please give the video a thumbs up, bring awareness. This is a great example of how a community should come together when it comes to situations like this. I felt like it was handled in a very swift manner.
Yeah, nah, they did what they was supposed to do. They got her ass up out of there, but it was mainly because people was getting sick of this shit, man. These hoes acting up in public, man. They just do. It's like it ain't no. I guess if it ain't no home life and it ain't no families, it ain't no keeping shit at home or keeping it in the family. So they come out in public like it's butt naked, cussing, fighting, beating on their kids. People sick of seeing that shit. Take that shit to the motherfucking zoo or something. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to deal with that, seeing that, watching you beat up on your kids and cuss your kids out. Man, I know some of the most horrible parents on the fucking planet. I know this girl, she be giving her little bitty daughter, like, she'll drink, she an alcoholic, and then she give her little bitty daughter, like, caps full of liquor and shit. You think that shit cute? And she grow up like, some people self-sabotage their kids anyway. They don't want their kids making it no further than them. You know what I mean? Trash, bro. You gotta watch out. But they did the right thing coming together against the mother. You know what I'm saying? It takes some like everybody in the community to care and people to kind of come forward when something happening. And I think that's why this dude right here, this next dude, got away for so long. I don't know if y'all know who dude is, but it's a serial killer that been going around, and basically they say he was just hidden in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? But they found out a bunch of crazy stuff about him. Let's go.
Rex Huerman. I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. On Long Island.
Okay.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
After more than a decade, police have finally arrested the man they believe is the Long Island serial killer, also known as the Gilgo Beach Killer. True crime community has been obsessed with this unsolved case, and allegedly so has the guy arrested for the killings, Rex Huerman. Police uncovered hundreds of searches on his computer about this case.
What the defendant was searching. In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation. He was searching, compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives. And he was trying to locate those individuals. In addition to that, there was a lot of torture, porn, and what you would consider depictions of women being abused, being raped, and being killed.
The 59-year-old architect was taken into custody on July 13th at his Midtown Manhattan office and has been charged with the murders of Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The bodies of the three victims, along with one other, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, were found over the course of 2 days in 2010, within a quarter mile of each other along a stretch of highway in Long Island. They would become known as the Gilgo Beach Four. Huerman has been indicted for the murders of 3 of the victims and is the prime suspect in the 4th. These cases have gone cold for years, but in 2022, a new task force was formed with the express purpose.
You know what? This just showed me we killed like this one dude right here, middle of nowhere. Or like, I ain't gonna say middle of nowhere, but Long Island and shit. I guess it's like probably nowhere to us and shit in the, you know, in the Midwest. But no, I'm tripping because so this dude, you know, not to even bring that element into it, but it's like a white dude and he killed 4 white people or whatever. How come nobody is calling it white on white crime? Like, they don't even cover. Like, I wonder when they call stuff black on black crime, I think, okay, maybe they saying it could be any black person against any black person, and then people will say it like, oh, okay, it's just covering like the senseless violence or whatever. So when do this shit become white on white crime and shit? And when do, you know, and it's so crazy. It just go to show you how people think, and different groups of people. Like, a lot of people wouldn't file this shit away. Like, oh, that's just white on white crime, whatever. It's like, damn, that's fucked up. She got killed or whatever, however. But a lot of people, when it comes to a black person, African American person, they file it away. Oh, that's just some black on black, whatever, however. But, you know, we ain't like that, man. Shout out to us, man.
Of finding the Long Island serial killer. And at a press conference, police did not mince words when it came to describing the man they arrested.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
So how did this, quote, predator live and function for all these years without raising suspicion? Well, pretty successfully. Heuermann's arrest came as a huge shock to a lot of people who know him. The Long Island native is an imposing man. He's somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6", weighs more than 250 pounds, but he's been described by several people as being affable. Coworkers even nicknamed him Peter Griffin after the Family Guy character. And a colleague described him to Fox News Digital as patient and goofy, meticulous with his work. Heuermann was the president of his own architecture firm in New York City, so pretty successful, and his 26-year-old daughter Victoria worked for him. At least outwardly, Heuermann appeared to be a family man. He's married, and along with Victoria, he and his wife Asa have a special needs son. Now, not a lot is known about Asa. She's kept a pretty low profile so far. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows describing this guy. Trust me. A colleague who wished to remain anonymous told the New York Post that the murder suspect once spoke about the Gilgo Beach killings and allegedly questioned why the murderer would use a burlap net to dispose of the bodies. And a neighbor also told Fox that he was a bit of an oddball. But if you ask law enforcement, Heuermann is as depraved as it comes. I mean, you heard them earlier. They believe he's a predator. And in court documents, they presented evidence that they hope will prove it in a court of law. Here is some of the most disturbing information that investigators discovered while they were digging into Rex Heuermann. A grand jury was convened, and through that grand jury, the LISC task force was able to obtain hundreds of subpoenas. Many of them were to search Heuermann's digital footprint, which police say he tried to hide through fake burner phones and emails. Law enforcement says Heuermann frequently communicated with and hired sex workers, even up until recently. He also had a Tinder profile connected to a burner email where he used a fake name, but seemed to use his real photos. But it was his online searches that are the most disturbing. Cops say the suspect conducted thousands of searches for sex workers, sadistic, torture-related pornography, and child pornography. His search terms are enough to make anybody cringe. Some of them are truly repugnant, and just a warning, if you look them up, the content of these searches are very dark. But some of the more mild ones included mature escorts Manhattan, but the majority of them involved sexual violence, particularly against young girls. And he also seemed to be obsessed with the Long Island serial killer case. His alleged searches included podcasts and documentaries about LISC, updates on the case, and why it hadn't been solved. Let me read a few to you. 1. Why could law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island serial killer? 2. Why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? And the last one. In Long Island serial killer investigation, new phone technology may be key to break-in case. Now, he also searched the names of the victims and their close relatives and viewed hundreds of photos of those victims, the Gilgo Beach 4. Police said he looked at the images compulsively. One of his other alleged searches was for John Bittroff. That's a convicted killer who was once suspected of actually being LISC. Now, the searches were all done in connection with a burner email account, and police say that at the time of his arrest, he had a burner phone on him that was connected to one of those emails. I mentioned earlier that this case had been cold for about a decade and only heated up once that task force was created in 2022 and the Gilgo murders became a priority. Prior to that, there had been widespread criticism of law enforcement and their handling of the case. Now, these victims had all been first reported missing, and investigators are accused of basically putting the cases on the back burner because they were sex workers. A local reporter for the Long Island Press penned this scathing headline a few weeks before the bodies of those missing women would be found dead. Lost girls. When women go missing on Long Island, some matter, prostitutes don't. But once the task force was formed last year, it only took 6 weeks for Huerman's name to come up for the first time. And the task force was pretty intricate. Investigators, lawyers, forensics, the FBI, different police departments, all working together to solve this case. But the key to understanding how the task force honed in on their suspect, we have to look at the crimes themselves. Specifically, how were the victims chosen? How did the killer interact with them? How were they killed and then disposed of? And finally, what did the killer do after? The disappearance of 23-year-old Shannon Gilbert was the catalyst to the whole Long Island serial killer case, despite the fact that she isn't believed to be a LISK victim. Like the other victims, Shannon was a sex worker. In 2010, she traveled from her home in New Jersey with her usual driver, who sort of served as her protection. He brought her to a remote neighborhood in Long Island to meet up with a John. Now, she ends up disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Shannon's case is a complicated one, and diving too deep into it will only serve to really confuse matters, as tragic as it was. She did die, likely that night, but her death has been ruled as accidental. But the reason it is significant to the LISK cases, despite her not being a LISK victim, is because an off-duty detective was searching for her with his police dog, kind of doing a search exercise. His name was Blue, and Blue alerted him to human remains. That is when the first LISK victim was found. Now, when that first set of remains was discovered, cops immediately believed that they had finally located Shannon, only they hadn't. The body was identified as another missing sex worker, Melissa Bartholomew. 3 more bodies, all sex workers, all petite women, would be discovered the next day in that same area of Gilgo Beach. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The victims were all disposed of in the same way. Their bodies were bound at the head, midsection, and feet, and they were wrapped in a camouflage burlap, the type that you would use for duck hunting. The corpses were all in various states of decay, indicating that they were not killed at the same time, but there was physical evidence left on the bodies of these women. At this point, it was clear to law enforcement that they had a serial killer on their hands. Murdering sex workers, unfortunately, is nothing new. Women in this vulnerable community are often preyed upon because their disappearances can go unnoticed or simply ignored by law enforcement.
I think anytime a sex worker or prostitute get murdered, check all the married dudes in the area, you know what I'm saying? It don't ever be, because don't nobody got time for that. Nobody got time for that. It be like The Family, man. Whenever it's prostitutes coming up getting murdered, check the good, whoever is supposed to be the good guy in the area, check him. That's who doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's who be having them issues with the, and targeting them and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Enforcement and even sometimes their families. But it's important to note here that the disappearances of the Gilgo Beach 4 did not go unnoticed by their friends and family. Now, something else they all had in common was not only were they all engaged in sex work, but they were all working independently, advertising their services on places like Craigslist and Backpage, which is how police believe they were first targeted by the killer. And when I say working independently, I mean they weren't working for escort services or a pimp. And when sex workers do work independently in order to protect themselves, they usually have a protocol that they follow and some sort of backup in the form of a driver or someone they pay a little money to watch out for them nearby. According to the podcast LISK, who spoke with multiple people connected to the victims, it seems several of the victims broke with their usual safety protocol on the day they went missing. Now, this seems to indicate a level of comfort with the John who had hired them. And there has long been speculation that LISK was either a high-profile member of the community or a member of law enforcement, 2 groups that would make the women feel comfortable enough to forego their usual safety measures with the assumption that these men wouldn't risk their reputation to harm them. Now, that's clearly not the case with Rex Huerman. He is most certainly not a member of law enforcement. A more likely scenario is that the killer was either a repeat client who they were already comfortable with, or that they offered them a sum of money they couldn't refuse. Police believe Maureen Brainerd Barnes was killed in 2007, making her the first of the 4 Gilgo Beach victims. Her body was bound with several leather belts, and 2 female hairs were discovered on one of them. Now, the other victims had been bound by duct tape, and again, female hairs not belonging to the victims were found on 2 of those victims, and on 1, a male hair. Problem was, at the time, because of how long these corpses had been decomposing in the elements, the hairs were too degraded to test for DNA. Technology has since caught up, and forensic analysts were able to use mitochondrial DNA testing to determine that the female hairs found on the victims belonged to Rex Huerman's wife. Additionally, one male hair was also discovered on the bottom of one of those burlap
Wow,
sacks.
so was
and
the wife
that was
helping
determined
him?
to belong to Rex
She had to
Heuermann
know
himself.
something.
Investigators wrote in court documents, it is likely that the burlap, tape, vehicles, or other instrumentalities used in the furtherance of these murders came from defendant Heuermann's residence, where his wife also resides, or was transferred from his clothing. In order to test that mitochondrial DNA from the hair against the Heuermanns, people needed to obtain their DNA. Cops had trailed Rex for quite some time once they had set their sights on him as their prime suspect. Police obtained 11 bottles from the trash outside of the Heuermann's home in Massapequa and were able to obtain DNA from Asa, Rex's wife.
They get to
ended
digging
up
through
getting
your trash,
Rex's
it's
DNA
over.
off of a discarded pizza crust, which was thrown in its box in a trash can on the street near his office in Manhattan. And according to law enforcement, the DNA tests came back with more than a 96% chance that the samples of hair taken from the bodies of the victims belonged to the Heuermanns. Now, if you're wondering why the suspect's wife has not been implicated in the crimes, well, for at least 3 of the murders, police have evidence that she was either out of the country or out of the state. It's their working theory that the Long Island serial killer was active when his own family was out of town. Now, the DNA matching is obviously damning evidence, but it's certainly not enough. In order for the task force to find Rex in the first place, they used a database that essentially triangulated phone calls that were made to the victims before their disappearance, phone calls made from the victims' phones while they were missing, and phone calls made to the family members of some of the victims after they had disappeared. Way back when the bodies were first discovered and the victims were identified, police learned that the killer taunted the younger sister of Melissa Bartholomew, who was just 15 at the time. The calls were never long enough for police to trace an exact location, but they were able to discover the vicinity where the calls were made. And that's how they learned that the calls were made from a burner phone both in Massapequa and in Midtown Manhattan. And according to law enforcement, they later found out that their suspect exclusively uses burner phones and burner emails to hire and communicate with sex workers.
Look, that's how they gonna bust Carly down, because she thought she could do some slick shit. She tried to leave her phone. She tried to erase some stuff, but they could check all that. They could check your burner phones. They could use any phone that they know that you was using to triangulate your movements. Don't do it. Don't even do it. Only people that can get away with this shit is the police.
To search for disturbing pornography and to search for information and updates about the Long Island serial killer case. Law enforcement writes, quote, "These burner phones and email accounts with fictitious identities were used in an effort to conceal Heuermann's true identity, conceal his criminal activity, unlawfully proposition sex workers, and attempt to monitor the investigation of his crimes." Police also said that the suspect allegedly used a new burner phone for each of the murders.
We also went back and looked at his cell site records, and we compared his personal cell site records with that of the 4 target phones, and we saw that there was areas of commonality.
So the task force has what they're referring to as an area of interest where these burner phones were being used. They also had a rough physical description of the killer from an eyewitness.
That individual was identified as a person who was between 6'4" and 6'6", a large man, thickly built, not necessarily overly muscular, but just a naturally big person with glasses, white, and dark hair.
That eyewitness also identified a very distinctive pickup truck as belonging to the killer. It was an early model Chevrolet Avalanche, and after some digging, police discovered that Rex Heuermann had that exact truck registered to him. Now, if you are at all familiar with this case prior to this recent arrest, you know that the 4 bodies of the Gilgo Beach victims are not the only bodies that have been found along that stretch of highway in Long Island. 6 other bodies were found in the same area between 2010 and 2011, so not long after those first 4 women were discovered. The way they were found and how their bodies were disposed of doesn't fit the same signature or MO as Lisk. However, those cases are still being investigated in connection with Rex Heuermann. And as I mentioned earlier, he is still the prime suspect in the 4th Gilgo Beach victim's death, Maureen Brainerd Barnes. Police expect that investigation to be wrapping up soon, likely with more charges. But for now, Rex Heuermann was arraigned on 3 first-degree murder charges and 3 second-degree murder charges and has pleaded not guilty. According to his lawyer, Rex broke down in tears and told his attorney he didn't do it. Now, despite the long journey it's taken to get an arrest in this case, law enforcement says the investigation is really only beginning now. Trucks of evidence were seen being taken out of Rex Heuermann's Massapequa home, as well as multiple storage facilities belonging to him. And it is notable that none of the former victims were found clothed or with their belongings, so those items are out there somewhere. An interior designer who used to work with Rex and went to his home in 2005 to help with a kitchen renovation exclusively told Daily Mail that there was a locked room in the basement, and when she asked about it, Rex was, quote, so weird, and allegedly told her it was full of guns. And a source close to the investigation told CNN that somewhere between 200 and 300 firearms were allegedly removed from Rex's home. As for the open investigations into those 6 victims, also found on Ocean Parkway, well, I will dive into those next week, so come back for the latest. And for more true crime content like this, hit like and subscribe.
That's crazy. That shit is crazy. Nah, he was doing that shit for a long time, and y'all see, total, it's 10 bodies that they found, but they could only link them to 6 of them, and you know, to be just killing people for that long, unaliving, my bad, YouTube. To be unaliving people for that long and to be able to get away with it, you know what I mean? It takes some complacency, or it take just, you know, it's like people just, a lot of times I think they said, like, you know, he targeted the sex workers because he figured nobody was gonna miss him, right? And man, he got comfortable. He was going on for a long time. He really could have, not like that, not saying it like that, but he really could have kept going, you know what I mean? And they probably wouldn't have found him. They was already slacking and just wasn't even really looking in the right direction. I wonder how many people it is out here. I don't know if y'all seen the movie American Psycho, but that's kind of what it was about. Dude was a serial killer, and he thought he was getting away with it because he was slick and all that, and he found out towards the end, the twist was he was getting away with it because nobody was just looking for him to be a serial killer. He was like a businessman. He had a lot of money, and it was just like, as he started to get more blatant with it, the people around him was just indifferent. You know, they just didn't care. They couldn't care less. The rich people around him and the people in the circle he was in. So he was like, dang, it ain't that I'm getting away with it because I'm slick. It's just that, like, basically it was white privilege helping him. Helping him get away with it. But, you know, it's what it is, man. It's cool though, man. I think that, you know, they finally caught him. They're gonna get the rest of the murders, and, you know, they're gonna get the rest of the bodies and figure out where they came from and everything, and wrap the thing up. And speaking of wrapping up this last clip, do y'all think that after a player have a basketball player, especially at a young age, have like a heart attack or a cardiac arrest, do y'all think they should risk playing again? Especially somebody in the you know, position of Bronny James, who is rich already. He already rich. He already got cars and mansions, and, you know what I'm saying, tens of millions, probably even hundreds of millions of dollars. So do you want to risk playing? You know what I'm saying? Let's find out. Let's get some info on this, y'all.
It's amazing news that Bronny James is stable after a heart attack during practice with USC. A doctor from ABC News said immediate CPR and AED shocks saved his life. Every second without intervention is dangerous to the brain and body, but Bronny is already out of the ICU, which means the doctors did a fantastic job. But how did this happen? I mean, kid is 18 years old and in shape. Actually, in basketball, we have seen this multiple times. The most recent example was Shaq's son, Shareef O'Neal. During practice before freshman year at college, same timing as Bronny, Shareef experienced heart issues. He was given a monitor to wear, but had to undergo heart surgery. Shareef did make a full recovery and will play pro in the G League next year. But one player wasn't so lucky. Reggie Lewis collapsed during a playoff game for the Celtics in 1993. He stood back up, but he was dizzy and out of breath. He ended up checking back into the game and scored 17 total points. But the next day, he went to a hospital and was diagnosed with a heart disease that causes an irregular heartbeat and potentially death. So the doctors told him to quit basketball, but he sought out a second opinion. That doctor said he had a less serious, non-fatal heart condition, so Lewis started to prep for the next NBA season. That summer, he was practicing in a gym and suffered sudden cardiac death at the age of 27. 2 police officers tried to revive him but were unsuccessful. But the most famous case was 3 years prior when a college player named Hank Gathers died on the court at 23 years old. Current Heat coach Eric Spoelstra was just a few feet from Gathers when he went down. He had collapsed before and was diagnosed with an abnormal heartbeat requiring medication. An autopsy, though, found he had a much worse condition, and the family got paid in lawsuits against his college, Loyola Marymount, and the doctor who treated Gathers. But LaMarcus Aldridge was diagnosed with a heart condition years ago, and he went on to have an all-star NBA career. We just don't know the outcome for Bronny. Speculation about what caused this or his future makes zero sense because we don't know his full condition. All we know is 150 to 200 times a year, this happens to fit young athletes. It is the leading cause of death in high school sports. It happens in football and lacrosse and even baseball. But the reason so many of these kids die is schools are not prepared with AED machines.
The thing that keeps me up at night is just the faces of the parents that I talk to after their kids die. That I can never shake it. I have to explain to them that with proper care they would have survived. And I don't ever sugarcoat it and I don't lie to them. I tell them the truth because I'm hoping that the truth might help the next kid to not die.
But USC was prepared, and it's probably why Bronny is still with us. But now people are wondering, what does it mean for his future in basketball? And to be clear, no one would be asking this if he was still in danger. Obviously, the most important thing is his health, but now that he is safe and stable, can he keep playing? We've already seen multiple examples of players who were diagnosed but continued to chase their dream, like Sharif O'Neal or LaMarcus Aldridge. Bronny actually has a teammate at USC who had a heart attack during practice last year but was cleared to play in January. I would imagine, unless the top heart doctors in the world clear Bronny, then he would have to stop playing. I mean, you'd need 3 of the top doctors to all say you have a 0% chance of danger here to get back on the court, because Bronny is lucky enough to have a dad who's a billionaire, so he has the financial means to consider other options. Some people don't have that luxury. Obviously, that choice is up to the James family, but LeBron's biggest wish is to one day play in the league with his son. Last season, he teased retirement, but none of us took it seriously because of Bronny. Kid was a 5-star recruit, a McDonald's All-American. There's a good chance he is one and done and in next year's NBA draft. But now, that could either be in jeopardy or delayed for a while. It took his teammate 1.5 years to get cleared for the court. Does LeBron consider retirement after all? It must be a hugely emotional time with all these questions in LeBron and his family's head. But the most important thing is that Bronny is now safe and healthy. I know this video was a downer, but I think it was really important to address because there were different facets of this story that I wanted you guys to know about. But if you want to hear a really inspirational, feel-good story about a guy who escaped danger and made his NBA dream come true, check this video out about Skal Labissiere.
It's definitely good. Like you said, the most important thing is just that dude is back and he's straight and everything like that. You know what I mean?
For example, now if you flop, the other team gets to shoot free throws. That is an awesome change. Will people stop flopping? Probably not, but
yeah, man. So it's cool that dude got up out of there and was able to get it back together. I forgot LeBron James was a billionaire though. Damn. That's a lot. That's a lot of damn money right there. I had to look at that because I had a friend that died. Fresh know who I'm talking about. We had a friend in middle school that died the same way. He just collapsed on the court, and they said it happened to 150 players a year, like fit players. I definitely could believe it because man, it's a lot going on out there on the court, and they just pushing the players. Sometimes they'll just push them without them really even having no type of nothing to go off of. And he said that it's funny because I do non-emergency medical transport, and one of the craziest things is I got a defibrillator that I use that I don't use it because ain't nobody passed out around me. But like I got one that I had to learn how to use. You know what I mean? And you do have to know how to use this stuff because you never know in these situations what might happen. You know what I mean? Anybody doing a lot of physical exertion and so on and so forth, they should always have that stuff in the gym. I'm surprised that they don't. And that's the cause of them losing lives, because you could get those kits for cheap. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. You know, my clips were short today, so I just wanted to look over some of the things that was going on, especially with Bronny James, man, because he got a bright future. As far as a serial killer go, I know that was a long clip, but yeah, I felt like it was interesting just to see somebody getting away with stuff for so long. I bet you they gonna come out with a movie about it, because that just happened. Like, they just getting the dude in custody and all that. I bet you they gonna end up coming up with a movie about it. And it's probably gonna be good, a little bit exaggerated, but dude looked nuts though, and he was like 6'5" and shit, 250 something pounds. So they gonna hire somebody. I mean, they gonna have somebody crazy as a motherfucker playing him, and it might be good. You know, they gonna take some artistic merits with it, but we gonna see how it play out. And as far as the last thing, man, you know, the woman dragging the daughter by her hair. I mean, I don't know, man. Everybody ain't a mother that have kids. Anybody can have kids, but everybody ain't a parent. You know, it go for fathers too. Shit, I'm a father. Everybody that sit up and create a child ain't a father. You know, but definitely if you do some stuff like that to your kids, though, you a scumbag. You should have them. If you don't got patience with nobody, have some patience with your kids. You know what I mean? But it's like I told y'all, they just be looking at them as little benefits packages and shit. But it is what it is, man. Shout out to the mods and shit, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the replay gang, watching this on the replay, you know what I mean? And yeah, I know I told y'all coming on the 1st will be my last episode of Mac World Live before I switch my format up, which I will keep y'all posted on what exactly I'm gonna do. But yeah, just hit that like, hit that subscribe. Check that bell icon so you can get them notifications. Shout out to all the new subs. I got some new content dropping later on, either tonight or early tomorrow, so be looking out for that. And that's all I got for y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it simple with y'all today. So until tomorrow, hump day. Later, y'all. I'm gone.